If you were asked what Christianity was all about, what would you say? Believing in God maybe, or going to church every week? Reading the Bible, or being saved so you get to go to heaven? Jesus said the most important thing of all was to love the Lord your God with your whole being, heart, soul, mind and strength. Having a loving relationship with God is what Christianity is really all about. And while all those other things have their place, it is only as part of that relationship, because what we love shapes how we live. For example, I love my children, and the result of this is shown in how I live. I work to provide for them so they have somewhere to live, food to eat, clothes to wear, and so on. I try to spend as much time with them as I can, and when I'm not with my children, I enjoy talking to people about them, showing off pictures of them and generally being rather boring. I can't help it. I love them. And if we really love God, this too will shape how we think, how we speak, and the things we do. The problem is, having trusted in Jesus and so being free to come to God, our relationship with Him does not always immediately flourish. After all, we cannot see or touch or feel God, so getting to know Him and growing our love for Him is really not that easy. How exactly do we build a relationship with someone like that? Well, as with any relationship, it won't just happen. It takes work. Look at marriage, for example. For a couple to really grow in their love for each other, it takes work. And there are a number of tools they can use, such as good communication, spending quality time together, caring for each other, and considering each other's needs and the like. In the same way, there are a number of tools that we can use to help our relationship with God. We call these spiritual discipline, and they are practices that have been tried and tested throughout church history and beyond, handed down to us through the centuries. Many of them will be very familiar to us, such as Bible study, prayer and fellowship, while others, such as submission, simplicity and living for today, may not be quite so familiar. But they all have their part to play in shaping and growing our relationship with God. And this is a relationship that is not a one-sided deal. God also plays a part in all this. In his letter to the Philippians, Paul told them to work out your salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good pleasure. The work out your salvation with fear and trembling is our role, and to this end we engage in spiritual discipline. However, it is not these things in themselves which transform us, but as we get involved in them, God plays his part, working in us to shape how we live, changing us from within so that we love him more and so will and act in a way that is honouring and is pleasing to him. That's his role. Ours is to engage in spiritual discipline. Now, discipline is not a very popular word, maybe conjuring up visions of bullying teachers and overbearing parents. And the fact that spiritual discipline is really a form of self-discipline, but with a spiritual goal, does not really help. It still sounds like a lot of hard work. And this is probably the main problem with the general lack of spiritual discipline today. We might give one or two things a go, we might try fasting once or twice, or maybe a few times of solitude and silence, but because they are not easy and do not make any immediate difference, the tendency is to give up and go back to the way things were. What we really want is an instant solution to make us suddenly love God. But unfortunately, there is no such thing. Think of the relationship between a husband and wife. There's no cunning trick to suddenly give them a perfect marriage. Instead, it takes work, hard work, every day, until death do us part. But as with marriage, though spiritual discipline starts out as just plain hard work, often with little or no obvious signs of change, the longer you work at it, the more you will begin to grow in your love for God. And the more you grow in your love for him, the more you will find yourself delighting in the work of spiritual discipline. That effort will suddenly become a labour of love, a joy, because it really does help to deepen our relationship with him. There are 17 areas of spiritual discipline covered in this series. And while some of them may be more attractive or come more naturally to us, none of them are easy. But they are all important, and each one has a part to play in helping us shape our relationship with God.